Hi, welcome to this restorative practice called Time to Chill. Hi, welcome to this restorative practice called Time to Chill. It would be definitely to your benefit to make sure you have something to prop your body nearby. So if you have yoga props like blocks and bolsters, perfect. And if you don't, gather what you have. So definitely a couple of cushions or pillows, something that might serve with a little bit of sturdiness. So you could consider a few stacks of books. These poses don't move quickly, so you'll have time to build what we need. And if you don't have a yoga bolster at home, which many of us do not, I would recommend trying to make one. Consider taking a yoga mat and wrapping it in a towel or a blanket so that it can be a little bit padded. We're going to use it to elevate our feet closer to the end of class. If that doesn't seem like something that's accessible to you because you only own one yoga mat and you are using it to practice your yoga on, you could also consider pulling a chair nearby, and that can serve similarly, although it'll bring your feet a little bit higher than what we'll be doing with the mat and the blocks. When you have your things ready, remove it all from your mat, and we're going to start our practice in a reclined shape. So if you tend to like something under your head, you can welcome yourself to bring that near, and we're going to lie on down to get going. And I would recommend, if it feels okay in your body, to keep your knees bent with your feet grounded to the floor. You could either just have feet set as wide as your hips, or you could even go a little wider and knock your knees together. If knocking the knees together creates an unhappy sensation in your back or your hip joint, skip that. If it feels like too much work to just have the knees bent with the feet lying to the floor without some kind of support, go ahead and find that support. That could be your cushions, your bolster, your rolled up yoga mat with the blanket around it beneath your knees. And then let your hands rest where they're comfortable. I'm going to put mine on the lower rim of my rib cage. And we'll just take a couple of moments to dive in through the layers of our body and meet our breath. And just meet your breath easy and natural in how it is in the first couple of moments. Just noticing how it feels and if there is any area of the breath that we can attend to. And I don't mean attend to like fall into rigid formation. I mean, is there any space that it might feel good to be a little bit more patient or a little bit more curious of how it is that breath comes in or breath goes back out? Your body truly is absolutely your wisest teacher. So if we can just give ourselves the permission to move into that quiet, easeful place, that place that we are feeling a level of chill, the body and the breath will respond in kind. Play with the edges of the breath so you might feel them expanding your rib cage and filling into your back body. Slow and patient as the breath goes all the way back out. If you like to start practice with creating intention, then take a moment to do that. My intention is to create a landscape for us that we can unwind the nervous system and decompress into, so that we can remind ourselves of that beautiful feeling of being calm, of being chill. When your next exhale comes, send your arms open to the sides. They can just fall easily. And then let your feet separate a bit so you come closer to the edges of the mat. And we're just going to start off with a really slow and lazy wiper. So both knees fall to one direction, and then we lift and swish them up and let both knees fall to the other direction. And it doesn't really matter how this happens in a lot of practices, and the way that my body tends to naturally pair to the rhythm of this pose is breath-led. So maybe an inhale takes you one way and an exhale takes you the other. Or maybe that doesn't even matter, and you can just allow the breath to come in and out and allow the swishes to happen as they do. And maybe they align and maybe they do not. The next time knees point toward the ceiling, heel toe your feet back toward one another, and then softly lift your knees in towards yourself for a really simple self-hug. Your hug can be still, or you might have a little bit of movement that sways. Knees a little side to side, massaging into the tissue of your low back, the back of your hips, the back of your pelvis. When you're ready to, soften your grip on the front of the knees and hold on to the back side of your legs. You can hold onto your pants, or if it's available, tuck your hands behind the back of the thigh, and then begin to extend the soles of your feet toward the ceiling until you start to feel the lightest pull in the back of your legs. We're not looking for a giant, giant stretch, just enough where life starts to be recognized. And then point your toes and flex them. And point your toes again and flex them. And again, this can go with breath, or this can be completely independent of breath, where the breath is just coming in and out in that beautiful, expansive, natural way. And the movement might be completely independent to that, meeting up and not meeting up. And then try to take the feet around in a circular rotation all the way around your ankle joint. And stop somewhere along that path and go the other way. That rotation might feel counterintuitive to you. You can even play with seeing if you can egg beater your feet, so one spins one way and one spins the other. Definitely not a necessity, just something to play with. Bend both your knees again. Give yourself that nice, full, soft hug. When your exhale comes, release your feet down onto the mat. Now, have a proper two handy. I'm going to use yoga blocks. You can use whatever it is you have available to you. Lay yourself back down once you have aligned your things, and have your props close to your feet. If you're a monkey like I am, you'll be able to use your feet to move the props around, and if not, well, you're going to have to help yourself to shuffle around and place props just so. You're going to lift your right ankle to the top of your left knee. And then I'm going to take my blocks, my blocka, and slide it down so that my left foot can be lifted up from the floor. Now, if you have yoga blocks, please remember that your blocks have 3 heights. The higher that you build the block, the less sturdy that it is, so you might have to use 2, and that's really going to give you much more intensity into this lift. I'm not necessarily encouraging you to go for the deepest form of the pose here, but a variation of our thread the needle, where we can plant and place our left foot onto a block or onto a lifted, stable object, cross our right ankle, and allow the shoulders and the head to rest. And then do the good work of seeing if you can fall into a stillness here and scan through your body and just notice the places that might habitually hold or might begin to hold once you have the action of a posture invited in. Soften your hands, release your jaw, smooth the edges of the breath, the beginning, the middle, and the end. On the exhale too. Just see if you can give yourself a moment to be in the stillness of this pose. For most of us that are human, when we come into spaces where the body is more still, we don't necessarily have as many teeny little checkpoints that we might go through in a movement practice. We find that the mind has a lot more freedom to wander off. And sometimes that can be really healing. Sometimes it can be a really wonderful thing to consciously be with breath and body, and then allow the mind to stray, and then come back and consciously be with breath and body. So definitely give yourself permission there. But make sure that you do come back every so often and just touch point. Check in with the sensations that are here right now. Check in with the breath that you're breathing right now. We're going to take maybe just 5 more here like this. I invite you to slowly release your left foot back to the floor and uncross your right ankle. And then super simply change so you can lift your left ankle to the top of your right knee and check in. For some of us, this is enough. It's not necessary to lift the foot any higher if it doesn't feel like a necessary enhancement. For those of us that might like the extra lift, you're going to position your block or your cushions or your more stable object that can help lift your right foot up off the floor. On the cross of your left ankle, we're going to attempt to see what we can do to allow our body to fall, to be held, to hang into this posture. Hands again can rest where they make sense to you, so you can let your arms drape down open. Lie them to your sides, onto your belly, onto your rib cage. Take a moment and enjoy the process of looking to see how our body is in this moment. Similar, of course, but slightly different than even moments ago. Notice the way that presence and breath and surrender and stillness and ease really start to stir together into the perfect cocktail. The cocktail that invites you into a sense of calm, into a self-embrace that allows you to fall into the moment, knowing the moment holds you just as you are. Notice if your mind has traveled off to other times, other practices, other stories, and acknowledge your great mental power in being able to move through time and space so seamlessly. Come back and enjoy this shape, the sensations that are created by this shape, the presence that you can draw into this moment here, right now, for just a moment more here. And slowly release your foot from anything that it's been lifted onto and uncross. Letting props slide slightly away, and then listen to your body of how it may like a moment to decompress. It might be stretching out long, and it might be hugging knees back in toward you. It might be taking a moment to come back to that wiper that we did in the beginning, or something completely different. And then when you're ready, we'll sit ourselves up so that we can prepare for another pose. And so depending on what you have prop-wise, this might be a great place to use your rolled yoga mat. Also, if you have a yoga bolster, this is when you will bring this onto the mat. I would also recommend having either a folded towel, blanket, or skinny cushion to potentially lay under your head. Some of us will, and some of us will not need something under our head. What we are going to do is bring ourselves over onto a hip, bringing our cushion, our rolled yoga mat, or ideally a yoga bolster, should you be lucky enough to have that, and bring it beneath the lower edge, the lower rim of a rib cage. I'm going to start on my right side. And you're going to lay yourself down so you could nestle the lower side waist and the rib cage to the bolster, to your rolled object. And then go ahead and lay your head down toward the earth. You could always stretch your lower arm, in this case my right arm, all the way up overhead, so that creates a pillow for you. I like to extend my right arm forward and to lie on something physical. And then the left arm is going to stretch all the way up and over your top ear. Now you could also grab other objects and support the upper arm so that the wrist has somewhere to fall and be supported. And ideally we're starting to get a subtle but true opening to this whole upper side and full side waist of the upper side. What you do with your legs is your business. It might make a lot of sense just to nestle the knees together. You could scissor the legs apart if that feels good. And then, like all other poses, we look to see if we can give ourselves a moment of stillness. Stillness doesn't mean you can't move. So by all means, if something feels uncomfortable or misaligned, give yourself time to reposition and see if you can nestle in just so into the place that it feels just right. And then when you feel like perhaps you have indeed achieved that level of just rightness, see if you can give yourself permission to sink and fall and melt over the props. Allow your body to be weighted. Allow your breath to massage you from the inside out. We'll stay in this shape for one more minute. See if there are any places that you can settle just a little deeper. If you can welcome yourself to melt even a hair more. If you can let the mind release. Soften here. Slowly move your top arm into a position that you can aid yourself. Take your time, you're not in a rush. And slowly lift yourself up off the bolster or your rolled prop. Two ways to do this. You could tick-tock your knees to the other side and keep everything exactly as it is and roll over. So I can stay facing you. I'm going to flop my props. And so essentially we just want to set it up that we're doing the exact same thing on the second side. Nestle yourself into a place where the rib cage can be supported and extend over it. Now you might find that it feels more or less tender on the second side, so complete invitation, absolutely, to gather all the things and to place everything just so that everything feels right. Notice if the bolster or rolled prop beneath you needs to be moved up or down. Ideally, we're achieving this beautiful, subtle stretch on the top edge of our body through the rib cage and the underarm and the full length of the arm, down the side waist, even to the hip. Feel the essence of sensation in a very sustainable way, knowing that it is a posture and a shape that feels like, yes, I'm subtly getting space, but it's not something that I have to grit my teeth to be here. And then try to melt into it. And melt all your parts so that you can soften your hands and your feet. You can loosen any gripping that you tend to hold in your belly or in your glutes. You can wiggle out any tension that might hide in your hands and your fingers. Loosen your jaw and wiggle your tongue around. Feel the skin around your eyes, across your brow, smoothing with your breath. Allow the weight of your body to sink into your props and the mat beneath you for just a couple of moments, massaged with breath from the inside out. This is your time to simply be. Take a last 3 deep, full body breaths here. And then slower than you think necessary, lower your top arm to support you and draw yourself up. You're going to take your blocks, or what can serve as blocks, and place one behind you at its middle height. You could always choose to go lower if your body says less height. As you get into it, you can discern. Turn your bolster, or what's serving as your bolster, to rest on the middle or lowest height of your block, or what's serving as your block. And we're going to turn to have our back aligned so that we can recline down into an open-chested shape. Ideally, again, we feel supported to fall, and this shouldn't feel compressive to our shoulders. It would be wonderful if you can let your palms fall to be supported by the floor, and if that feels way too far away, you could always bring things, bolsters, blankets, pillows, blocks, cushions, sweatshirts, under your forearms to be held. What you do with your legs is your business here, so it might feel really good to just extend the legs long now. It might also feel really nice to cross your legs like when you're seated, or even press soles of the feet together, knees wide. That could definitely require propping too. For a lot of us, that picks up a huge sensation to the space of inner groins. So you just decide what feels right to you, and then see if you have the availability to allow your body to melt over the props in this shape. And it does take commitment and bravery to allow ourselves to release and surrender and let go all the habituated strength that we hold and all the ways that we're holding it together. And so just welcome yourself to chill, to fall into a deep releasing chill. And it might feel really, really good. I know it does for me. To release a couple of open mouth, audible exhales. Just let yourself be held by this really simple and comforting posture for just a couple of moments. Scan back through your body like you did in all the other poses and just notice. Can I loosen off anymore? Can I let go anymore? Soft hands, soft eyes, soft tongue, soft jaw, soft belly, soft legs, soft glutes, soft feet, soft, expansive breath. for the last moment or so of this pose. Notice the quality of your thoughts and what it is that's filling your thought space. The mind is a beautiful free agent, this incredible ability to be in multiple places and hold multiple ideas and multitask. You're an incredible, intelligent being, and I commend you for it. And for this last moment here, I invite you to see if you can be in your body and feel this breath. Just a couple more breaths now. And then slower than you'd like, wiggle a little bit of life back through fingers and toes. And give yourself some space to come off these props. I like to actually roll myself to the side and use hands to help elevate. And then I recommend using all the things that we've gathered, and we're gonna build a little shelf to elevate our feet for this last pose, or relaxation pose, savasana. So I hope that you've been comfortable through the entirety of the practice, but if there are special things that you like for savasana, special clothes or special blankets or special eye pillow, go ahead and get that. You're gonna try to build a little shelf for yourself. So this is where I was saying that if you like, you could always choose to use a chair or your couch. I do find that depending on the height of us, for most of us that's a little too high, you could use your rolled yoga mat across a couple of things to create a structure. And the beauty of this is it just starts to elevate the feet over the head. And then you're gonna lie yourself back down, these elevated feet, and make it yours. So maybe you want it closer up toward the crook of the back of the knee, or maybe you wanna shimmy yourself up so that it's more the ankles and the feet that are being supported. You can use your elbows and the backs of your hips and your shoulders to wiggle yourself up and down until you find that perfect place that you land. And then see what you can do to really, truly land in it. Soften so that your head is cradled by the mat or your pillow beneath. That through the length of the back of the neck and the shoulders, down the spine to the hips and the glutes, you feel a held contact where you can allow the weight of you to just drape, to sink, to melt. Do the same thing we've done in other postures where you consciously soften the fingers, soften the toes, soften your hands and feet. Be mindful of anything that rides across the shoulders and the chest, front and back. Loosen it with an intentional breath. Let it go. Come up through the layers of your face. There's so much that we hold in our face. Just notice the tissues that hold your cheeks and your eyes and your brow and your forehead. Notice the feeling of allowing a soft space between your molars so you're really loosening your jaw. Soften your tongue. Feel the simple breeziness of a couple of breaths in and out through the nostrils, grazing the skin on the outer rim of your nostrils. And then release all control. All control of the mind and all control of the breath and all control of the body. Your wise, wise body, your wise, wise breath knows just what to do all on its own. And we'll simply fall into this last moment to be. My great hope for you is that you have more time to chill. If you don't, then you'll give yourself a couple of moments to slowly awaken the layers of yourself and move on from here to whatever it is that your day or your night has for you. Those of us that can linger, I recommend that you do. There is such great benefit in slowing down, allowing the release and the integration and the processing so that we can reap the benefits of the ease and the clarity. It is my great, great honor to share these classes with you. And I thank you for being here. Namaste.